Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Horizon, watching the stars shimmer past the main window. His hands gripped the metal rail as he thought about the mission ahead. Today was the day humanity would meet aliens for the first time. After 300 years of wondering if they were alone in the universe, they finally had their answer. The ship was smaller than the big military vessels back home, but it was fast and well armed. Jake had picked his crew carefully. Dr. Lisa Crawford was the smartest person he knew, and she understood alien technology better than anyone. Lieutenant Commander Ryan Burke could fight his way out of any trouble they might face. Amy Santos could talk to anyone, even aliens, if the translation machines worked right. Jake looked at the main screen where the Kepler 442 system grew larger. Somewhere in that star system, aliens were waiting to meet them. The Zephyrians had been watching Earth for decades, listening to their radio signals and learning about humans. 3 months ago, they had sent a message through space using technology humans barely understood. The message was simple: meet us at these coordinates if you want to talk. The Earth government had argued for weeks about what to do. Some people wanted to send warships. Others wanted to hide and pretend the message never came. But in the end, they decided to send Jake and his crew to make first contact. They were supposed to be peaceful but ready for anything. Amy looked up from her station. "Captain, I'm getting a signal from the alien ship. They're asking us to come closer." Jake nodded. "Take us in slowly, Ryan. Keep our weapons powered, but don't point them at anyone yet." The USS Horizon moved deeper into the system, and soon they could see the alien ship on their screens. Jake felt his stomach drop. The alien vessel was huge, 3 times bigger than their ship. It looked like a giant metal fish with strange fins that glowed with blue light. Weapon ports covered its hull like eyes, and each one was bigger than the Horizon's main gun. "That's a lot of firepower," Ryan said quietly. "They could blow us apart without even trying hard." Dr. Crawford was running scans on the alien ship. "The technology is incredible, Captain. Their power source is unlike anything we've ever seen. And their hull ... it's made of some kind of metal we don't recognize." Jake tried to stay calm. "Remember, they invited us here. They want to talk. Everyone stay ready, but let's see what they have to say." The main screen flickered, and suddenly they were looking at an alien face. The creature was tall and thin, with skin that looked like glass. Its eyes were huge and black, and when it moved, Jake could see light flowing under its skin like water. "Greetings, humans," the alien said. The translation machine made its voice sound calm and friendly. "I am Ambassador Keth Var of the Zephyrian Empire. We welcome you to this meeting." Jake stepped forward. "I'm Captain Morrison of the Earthship Horizon. We're honored to meet you. Our people have dreamed of this day for centuries." The alien tilted its head. "Yes, we have been watching your species for some time. You are ... interesting. We have much to discuss." For the next hour, they talked about their 2 species. Ambassador Keth Var told them about the Zephyrian Empire, which controlled many star systems. He spoke of their advanced technology and their desire to help younger species grow and learn. Jake told him about Earth, about human history and their hopes for the future. Everything seemed to be going well until Dr. Crawford quietly called Jake over to her station. "Captain," she whispered, "I've been scanning their ship with passive sensors. You need to see this." Jake looked at her screen and felt his blood turn cold. The readings showed that parts of the alien ship's hull were made of organic material. Not alien organic material, human organic material, human DNA. "There's more," Dr. Crawford said, her voice shaking. "I'm detecting human life signs aboard their ship. At least 50 people, all in what look like prison cells." Jake's mind raced. How could there be humans on the alien ship? Earth's colonies were hundreds of light years away from here. Unless ... He turned back to Ambassador Keth Var, trying to keep his voice steady. "Ambassador, our scans show some unusual readings from your ship. Could you explain what we're seeing?" The alien's friendly expression didn't change, but something cold flickered in its black eyes. "Your scanners are quite advanced for such a young species. What exactly are you detecting?" Jake decided to be direct. "We're detecting human life signs aboard your vessel, and your ship's hull appears to contain human biological material. I need an explanation." For a moment, the alien said nothing. Then its face changed completely. The friendly mask disappeared, replaced by something that looked like hunger. "You are more perceptive than we expected," Ambassador Kethvar said. "Very well. There's no point in pretending anymore." The main screen changed, showing the inside of the alien ship. Jake and his crew watched in horror as they saw dozens of humans trapped in small cages. The people looked thin and scared, and many showed signs of medical experiments. "We have been harvesting your species for quite some time," the alien continued. "Your outer colonies are so far from Earth, and your people disappear so easily. We have learned much about human biology from our specimens." Jake felt sick. "You've been kidnapping our people." "We prefer the term collecting," the alien said. "Your species has proven quite useful for our research. But now we need more, many more." The alien's image was replaced by a star map showing Earth and all its colonies. Red dots appeared over many of the colony worlds. "We invite you here today to offer you a choice," Ambassador Kethvar said. "Surrender your species to us willingly, and we will make the harvesting process quick and painless. Refuse, and we will take what we need by force." Jake looked around his bridge. His crew was staring at the screen in shock and anger. Amy's hands were shaking as she worked at her station. Ryan's jaw was clenched tight, and his hand was moving toward his weapon controls. Dr. Crawford looked like she was going to be sick. "You're talking about enslaving our entire species," Jake said. "Not enslaving," the alien corrected. "Harvesting. Your bodies are useful to us. Your minds are not particularly important." Suddenly, the space around the USS Horizon began to shimmer. One by one, 6 more alien warships appeared out of nowhere. Each one was as big as the first ship, and all of them had their weapons pointed at the small human vessel. "To show you that we are serious," Ambassador Kethvar said, "we will demonstrate what happens to those who resist us." The main screen changed again, showing a peaceful human colony world. Jake recognized it immediately. New Geneva, a mining colony with over 50,000 people. He watched in horror as the alien ships in orbit began firing down at the planet. The colony's cities disappeared in flashes of light. The orbital stations exploded like fireworks. In less than 10 minutes, an entire world full of people was gone. "This is what resistance brings," the alien said. "Now, Captain Morrison, what is your answer? Will Earth surrender, or will we repeat this demonstration on every human world until none remain?" Jake stood frozen, staring at the screen where New Geneva had been. 50,000 people, dead in minutes. Men, women, children, all gone because these creatures saw humans as nothing more than animals to be harvested. He looked at his crew again. They were all looking at him, waiting for his answer, but Jake already knew what he had to say. "Our answer," he said slowly, "is no. Humanity will never surrender to you." The alien's expression didn't change. "Then you have chosen extinction. Your species will end, and it will be your fault for refusing our generous offer." Jake felt the ship shake as the alien weapons powered up around them. 7 massive warships against 1 small exploration vessel. There was no way they could fight their way out of this, but maybe they could do something else. Maybe they could warn Earth what was coming. "Ryan," he said quietly, "prepare for emergency jump. Lisa, can you boost our communication signal through the jump drive?" I can try, Dr. Crawford said, her fingers flying over her controls. Amy, send everything we've learned back to Earth. Everything about these aliens. Their location, their plans, everything. The aliens had made one mistake. They thought humans would surrender when faced with superior force. They had never met. A species that would choose to fight impossible odds rather than give up their freedom. They were about to learn what humans were really like when their backs were against the wall. Lieutenant Commander Ryan Burke's fingers moved fast across his weapon controls as the 7 alien ships closed in around them. The USS Horizon shook as the Zephyrian vessels powered up their guns. Each alien ship was 3 times bigger than theirs, and their weapons could turn the human ship into space dust in seconds. Captain, we're completely surrounded, Ryan said. Their weapons are charged and ready to fire. We have maybe 30 seconds before they blow us apart. Jake Morrison stood in the center of the bridge, his mind racing. He looked at Dr. Lisa Crawford, who was working frantically at her science station. Sparks flew from her console as she tried to modify their experimental jump drive. Lisa, how long do you need? Jake asked. At least 2 minutes to modify the quantum drive, she said without looking up. But Captain, if I overload it the way I'm planning, the explosion will destroy our ship too. Amy Santos was typing as fast as she could at her communication station. The aliens are jamming all our normal channels, she said. I can't get a message through to Earth. Jake made a decision that would haunt him for the rest of his life. He walked over to the ship's communication system and opened a channel to the entire crew. This is the captain speaking, he said. All crew members report to escape pods immediately. That's an order. Ryan looked up from his station. Captain, what are you doing? Someone has to stay behind to make sure Earth gets warned about what's coming, Jake said. The rest of you are getting out of here alive. Dr. Crawford stopped working and turned around. Captain, you can't stay here alone. You need help to run the ship. I'll stay with the captain, Amy said. Someone needs to send the message when the quantum drive creates the opening. Ryan shook his head. If you two are staying, then I'm staying too. We're a crew, and crews stick together. Jake wanted to argue, but there was no time. The alien ships were moving closer, and their weapons were starting to glow brighter. He could see the enemy gun ports opening like hungry mouths. Lisa, I need that drive modification now, he said. Dr. Crawford's hands flew over her controls. I'm rerouting power from life support and weapons into the quantum core. When I activate it, the drive will create a temporary wormhole, but the energy feedback will tear the ship apart. Amy was still working on the communications array. Captain, I think I found a way to send our message. If I can sync our transmission with the quantum drive's energy pulse, I might be able to punch through their jamming. The ship shook again as the alien vessels moved even closer. Through the main window, Jake could see the closest Zephyrian ship. Its hull was covered in strange symbols that seemed to move and shift like living things. Gun ports along its side were glowing bright blue, ready to fire. Escape pods away, Ryan reported. The rest of the crew is clear, Jake nodded. Now it was just the 4 of them against 7 alien warships. The odds were impossible, but they had a job to do. Amy, start recording our message to Earth, Jake said. Include everything we learned about the Zephyrians. Their location, their technology, their plans to harvest human colonies. Amy's voice was steady as she began recording. Emergency transmission to Earth Defense Command. This is Communications Officer Santos aboard the USS Horizon. We have made contact with an alien species called the Zephyrians. They have been kidnapping humans from our outer colonies for biological experiments. They demand Earth's complete surrender and plan to harvest our entire species. The colony of New Geneva has been destroyed. Repeat, New Geneva is gone. All 50,000 colonists are dead. The alien ships were so close now that Jake could see details on their hulls. Strange organic-looking tubes ran along their sides, pulsing with light. The weapons were fully charged and ready to fire. "Lisa, we need that drive ready now," Jake said. "Almost there," Dr. Crawford replied. "I'm pushing the quantum core beyond all safety limits. When this goes off, it's going to create a massive energy pulse that will destroy everything within." 1,000 kilometers. Amy continued recording. The Zephyrian fleet consists of massive warships with advanced weapons and shielding. They can cloak their ships and appear to have been operating in our space for years without detection. They view humans as animals to be harvested, not as intelligent beings. The lead alien ship opened a communication channel. Ambassador Kethvar's face appeared on their screen again, but this time he wasn't pretending to be friendly. "Captain Morrison, you have 10 seconds to surrender, or we will destroy your vessel. Your crew's escape pods will be collected for processing." Jake looked at the alien's cold, emotionless face. "You want to know what humans are really like? We don't surrender. We don't give up. And we sure don't let monsters like you hurt innocent people." The alien's expression didn't change. "Then you will die, and your species will follow. Lisa now." Jake shouted. Dr. Crawford slammed her hand down on the activation control. The USS Horizon's quantum drive began to overload, and every system on the ship started screaming warnings. The lights flickered as massive amounts of energy built up in the drive core. Amy was still recording as the ship shook around them. "Earth Defense Command. The Zephyrians have superior technology, but they underestimate human determination. They think we'll surrender when we see their power. They're wrong. Humanity has never backed down from a fight, and we won't start now." The alien ships began firing just as the quantum drive reached critical overload. Bright blue energy beams struck the USS Horizon's shields, but the human ship was already beginning to tear itself apart from the inside. "Message sent," Amy shouted over the noise of exploding systems. "The transmission is writing the quantum pulse. It should reach Earth in 6 hours." The last thing Jake Morrison saw was a flash of brilliant white light as the USS Horizon's quantum drive exploded. The blast tore through space like a miniature star, destroying 2 of the alien ships completely and badly damaging a third. But more importantly, the quantum energy pulse carried Amy's message across the galaxy toward Earth. 6 hours later, Admiral Paul Griffin was drinking coffee in his office at Earth's Orbital Defense Station when the emergency communication came through. He was a veteran of 3 colonial wars and had seen plenty of bad news in his time, but nothing had prepared him for what he heard in Amy Santos's message. "Admiral." Griffin played the message 3 times before he believed it. Aliens were real. They had been kidnapping humans for years. They had destroyed an entire colony, and they were coming for Earth. Within minutes, he had called an emergency meeting of the Terran Defense Council. General Patricia Hayes arrived first, followed by Fleet Commander Nicholas Stone and Chief Strategic Officer Colonel Benjamin Clark. The 4 of them sat in the secure conference room and listened to the message from the USS Horizon. 50,000 people, General Hayes said quietly. Gone in minutes. The question is, what do we do about it? Fleet Commander Stone asked. According to this message, they have superior technology and larger ships. Colonel Clark was studying the technical data that Dr. Crawford had included in the transmission. Their weapons are powerful, but they're not invincible. And they made one big mistake. What's that? Admiral Griffin asked. They think we'll surrender when we see how strong they are, Clark said. They don't understand humans at all. Admiral. Griffin stood up and walked to the large window that looked out over Earth's orbital shipyards. Hundreds of vessels moved through space around the planet. Cargo haulers, passenger ships, mining vessels, and military craft all going about their daily business. None of them knew that humanity faced its greatest threat ever. Gentlemen, lady, Admiral Griffin said. "I'm calling for the activation of Protocol 7. Every available ship, military or civilian, is to report for immediate conscription. We're going to mobilize the largest fleet in human history." "General." Hayes looked surprised. "Admiral, that's a massive commitment. Protocol 7 hasn't been used since the Colonial Wars." "The Colonial Wars were fights between humans," Admiral Griffin replied. "This is different. This is about whether humanity survives or gets turned into laboratory specimens." Fleet Commander Stone was already accessing his secure files. "What?" "About Project Titan, the secret shipyards in the asteroid belt." Admiral Griffin smiled grimly. "It's time to find out if all that secret spending was worth it. Contact the Titan facilities and tell them to prepare their new ships for immediate deployment." Colonel Clark was reviewing star charts. "If we're going to hit them, we need to do it fast and hard. They won't expect us to attack so quickly after losing our first contact ship. They wanted to see what humans are capable of when we're threatened," Admiral Griffin said. "They're about to find out." The meeting lasted 4 hours. By the end of it, humanity was preparing for war on a scale never before imagined. Every shipyard was working at maximum capacity. Every military base was mobilizing. Every colony was being warned and defended. But the real surprise was waiting in the hidden facilities scattered throughout the asteroid belt. For 20 years, human scientists and engineers had been working on Project Titan, developing new weapons and ships based on technology recovered from crashed alien vessels. The project had been so secret that even most government leaders didn't know about it. Now, as humanity prepared to face its first alien enemy, those secret weapons would finally be put to the test. 3 days after the message from the USS Horizon reached Earth, the largest military mobilization in human history was underway. Every spaceship capable of carrying weapons had been called into service. Mining vessels were fitted with missile launchers. Cargo haulers became troop transports. Even luxury cruise ships were converted into mobile command centers. Admiral Paul Griffin stood in the main hangar of the secret Titan facility, hidden deep in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Around him, workers scrambled to finish the final preparations on humanity's most advanced warships. The Titan-class battleships were bigger and more powerful than anything humans had ever built before. "Admiral, the USS Retribution is ready for launch," Captain Elena Rodriguez reported. She was a veteran commander who had fought in the border wars and never lost a battle. Her dark eyes showed the same determination that had made her famous. Throughout the fleet, the USS Retribution was the first completed Titan-class ship, and it was beautiful in a deadly way. Its hull was black as space itself, covered with armor plating that could stop the most powerful weapons. Along its sides, gun ports housed weapons that Earth's enemies had never seen before. "How many ships do we have ready?" Admiral Griffin asked. Commander David Price checked his datapad. He was the best tactical officer in the human fleet, and his job was to figure out how to fight an enemy with better technology. 12 Titan-class battleships are operational. We also have 47 regular cruisers, 93 destroyers, and over 300 smaller vessels. What about the civilian ships? Another 800 vessels of various types, Price said. Most are lightly armed, but they can carry troops and supplies. The mining ships from the outer colonies are tough enough to take some damage. Dr. Helen Foster joined them, carrying a datapad filled with technical information. She was the lead scientist on Project Titan and had spent 20 years developing weapons to fight aliens. Her gray hair was tied back in a simple ponytail, and her clothes were stained with grease from working on the new weapons. "Admiral, I've finished the final tests on the quantum disruptor," she said. "It works by destabilizing the exotic matter that powers alien technology. One hit should disable any Zephyrian ship. How many do we have?" Admiral Griffin asked. "Each Titan-class ship has 2 quantum disruptors, Dr. Foster replied. We also have smaller versions on some of the cruisers. But Admiral, we've only been able to test these weapons on computer simulations. We don't know for sure how they'll work in real combat. Captain Rodriguez looked at the weapons data. Doctor, do you think these will be enough to even the odds? Dr. Foster nodded slowly. The Zephyrians have better shields and stronger hulls than us. But their technology depends on exotic matter reactions that are very delicate. If we can disrupt those reactions, their ships become just big metal targets. A new voice joined the conversation. Admiral Griffin, I have a report from the outer colonies. Everyone turned to see Captain Marcus Webb walking toward them. He was a tall man with burn scars on his face and hands. He had been on New Geneva when the aliens attacked and had escaped with only 53 survivors out of 50,000 colonists. Captain Webb, good to see you made it, Admiral Griffin said. What's the situation out there? Captain Webb's face was grim. The Zephyrians have attacked 6 more colonies since New Geneva. But they're not just destroying them now. They're landing troops and taking prisoners. Thousands of people are being loaded onto their ships. Harvesting operations, Commander Price said quietly. Just like they threatened. There's more, Captain. Webb continued. Some of the colonies are fighting back. On Franklin Station, a group of miners managed to destroy a Zephyrian landing ship with explosives. On New Tokyo, the local militia is hiding in the mountains and launching attacks on alien ground forces. Admiral Griffin felt a spark of hope. Our people are fighting back? Yes, sir, but they need help. The aliens have better weapons and more soldiers. Without support, the colonies won't last long. Dr. Foster looked up from her datapad. Admiral, I have an idea. What if we don't try to match the Zephyrians ship for ship? What if we use our numbers and our willingness to take risks? Explain, Admiral Griffin said. Human tactics have always been different from what other species expect, Dr. Foster said. We use surprise attacks, we sacrifice ourselves for the mission, and we never give up even when we're losing. The Zephyrians expect us to fight like they do, with big fleets shooting at each other from long range. Commander Price was nodding. She's right. We could divide our fleet into smaller groups and hit multiple targets at once. Force them to spread their defenses thin. Captain Rodriguez smiled. Like wolves hunting in packs. Each group hits fast and hard, then disappears before the enemy can respond. Admiral Griffin looked around at his officers. These were the people who would lead humanity's fight for survival. Each of them had risked their lives defending human colonies before. Now they faced an enemy unlike anything they had ever fought. How long until the fleet is ready to move? He asked. 48 hours. Commander Price replied. The last of the civilian ships should arrive by then, and will have finished loading supplies and ammunition. Good. Captain Rodriguez, I want you to command the lead battle group. Take the USS Retribution and 5 other Titan-class ships. Your mission is to hit the Zephyrian home system directly. Captain Rodriguez straightened. Sir, that's their most heavily defended system. Intelligence reports show over 300 enemy warships protecting their capital world. I know the odds, Admiral Griffin said. But sometimes the best defense is a good offense. While you're attacking their home system, the rest of our fleet will be hitting their supply lines and rescue missions at the colonies. Dr. Foster handed Captain Rodriguez a small device. This is the prototype for our most powerful weapon, the Quantum Cascade Generator. It's untested, but if it works, it could disable every Zephyrian ship in an entire star system. What's the catch? Captain Rodriguez asked. It only works once, and it takes 10 minutes to charge up, Dr. Foster said. You'll have to protect it while it powers up, and if the enemy damages it before it fires, the explosion will destroy everything within 1,000 kilometers. Captain Webb stepped forward. Admiral, I request permission to join Captain Rodriguez's battle group. I have personal experience fighting the Zephyrians, and I know how they think. Granted, Admiral Griffin said. You'll command the civilian volunteers, mining ships, cargo haulers, anything with guns. The next 2 days passed in a blur of activity. Ships arrived from every corner of human space. Veterans came out of retirement to serve on the crews. Young people who had never seen combat volunteered to fight for their species' survival. Factories worked around the clock to produce ammunition and supplies. Lieutenant Sarah Kim, a young engineer who had helped design the Titan-class ships, worked without sleep for 36 hours straight to make sure every weapon system was perfect. She had graduated from the academy just 2 years ago, but now she was responsible for technology that could save or doom humanity. Major Rick Sullivan led a squadron of fighter pilots who had been training in secret for years. Their ships were fast and heavily armed, designed to get close to enemy vessels and hit weak spots that larger ships couldn't reach. Lieutenant Commander Ashley Morgan commanded a group of reconnaissance ships that would scout ahead of the main fleet. Her job was to find Zephyrian forces and report their positions so the human fleet could avoid traps. As the fleet prepared to depart, Admiral Griffin sent a message to every ship under his command. 3 days ago, we learned that humanity faces extinction at the hands of an alien empire that sees us as nothing more than animals to be harvested. They destroyed our colonies. They murdered our people. They demanded our surrender. Today, we give them our answer. The message was broadcast to every human vessel in the fleet. On mining ships and battleships, on cargo haulers and destroyers, human crews listened to their admiral's words. The Zephyrians think they know us. They think we'll surrender when we see their superior numbers and technology. They think we'll beg for mercy when they show us their power. They're wrong. Humanity has never surrendered to any enemy, and we won't start now. Captain Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the USS Retribution, surrounded by her crew. Through the main window, she could see hundreds of other ships preparing for the jump to Zephyrian space. Each ship carried brave men and women who were willing to die to protect their species. The enemy chose this fight, Admiral Griffin continued. They came to our space. They attacked our people. They started this war. Now we're going to finish it. When we reach their territory, show them what humans are really capable of. Show them why you should never threaten Earth. The largest fleet in human history began moving toward the edge of the solar system. Over 1,000 ships carrying the hopes and dreams of an entire species. They were outnumbered and outgunned, but they had something the Zephyrians didn't. Understand, they had the determination of a species that refused to give up, no matter how bad the odds looked. The aliens wanted to harvest humanity. Instead, they were about to face the full fury of a united human race, the war for humanities. Survival was about to begin. The human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Zephyrian home system. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the USS Retribution, staring at the enemy home world through the main screen. Zeph Prime was a beautiful blue and green planet, 3 times larger than Earth, with silver cities that sparkled like jewels on its surface. Captain Rodriguez wasn't looking at the planet's beauty. She was counting the enemy ships that surrounded it. "Commander Price, how many are we facing?" she asked. Commander David Price studied his tactical display, his face growing pale. "Captain, I count 327 Zephyrian warships. They're arranged in defensive formations around the planet. Each ship is roughly the same size as the ones that destroyed the USS Horizon." Lieutenant Sarah Kim looked up from her engineering station. "Captain, their weapons are powered up and ready. They've been expecting us." Captain Rodriguez nodded. The human fleet had traveled for 6 days to reach this system, and the Zephyrians had used that time to prepare their defenses. But humanity had prepared too. "All ships, this is Captain Rodriguez," she said into her communicator. "Execute Battle Plan Delta. Fighter squadrons launch immediately. All civilian vessels move to secondary positions." Across the human fleet, fighter pilots like Major Rick Sullivan launched their small, fast ships from the larger vessels. The fighters were tiny compared to the massive alien warships, but they were quick and hard to hit. Their job was to get close to the enemy ships and attack weak spots. Captain Marcus Webb commanded a group of converted mining ships that had been fitted with the heaviest weapons humans could build. His face still showed the scars from when new Geneva was destroyed, and his eyes burned with the need for revenge. "This is for every human those monsters murdered," he said to his crew as they moved toward the enemy formation. The Zephyrian fleet was commanded by Supreme Admiral Vex Thul, who watched the approaching human ships from his massive flagship. The alien commander had lived for over 200 years and had conquered dozens of star systems. He had never lost a battle. "How many human vessels?" he asked his tactical officer. 1,043 ships, Supreme Admiral. Most appear to be converted civilian vessels with light armament. Admiral Vex Thul's translator made a sound that might have been laughter. "They bring cargo ships and mining vessels to fight our war fleet. These humans are even more foolish than we thought." But as the human fleet spread out across the system, the Zephyrian commander began to realize that something was wrong. Instead of charging directly at his defensive formation, the human ships were splitting into dozens of smaller groups. Each group was moving toward a different target. "They're not attacking us," his tactical officer reported. "They're hitting our shipyards, communication stations, and supply depots." Admiral Vex Thul watched in growing alarm as human ships struck targets throughout the system. A group of human destroyers destroyed the main communication relay. Mining ships converted into bombers attacked the orbital shipyards, where new Zephyrian vessels were being built. Fast human cruisers hit supply convoys carrying food and ammunition to the defense fleet. "Sir, they're not fighting the way we expected," the tactical officer said. "They're attacking everything except our main fleet." Captain Rodriguez smiled as she watched the battle unfold on her tactical display. The human strategy was working perfectly. Instead of trying to match the Zephyrians ship for ship, they were hitting targets the aliens couldn't defend all at once. "Lieutenant Commander Morgan, report," she said into her communicator. Ashley Morgan's voice came back from her reconnaissance ship. "Captain, we've located the main Zephyrian command center on the planet's surface. It's heavily shielded, but if we can get close enough, we might be able to disable their fleet coordination." "Negative, Morgan. Stay with the plan. We need those command ships intact for what comes next." Dr. Helen Foster was monitoring the quantum cascade generator from her position on the USS Retribution's engineering deck. The massive weapon was almost ready to fire, but it needed 10 more minutes to reach full power. "Captain Rodriguez, the cascade generator is at 80% charge," she reported. "But the Zephyrians are starting to figure out what we're doing. Their ships are moving to protect their most important facilities." Captain Rodriguez could see that Dr. Foster was right. The alien fleet was breaking up its defensive formation and spreading out to protect key targets throughout the system. It was exactly what the humans wanted them to do. "All ships, this is Rodriguez. Begin Phase 2. Target the scattered enemy vessels." Now the real battle began. Human ships that had been attacking infrastructure targets suddenly turned their weapons on isolated Zephyrian vessels. The aliens found themselves fighting dozens of small battles instead of one large one. Major Sullivan's fighter squadron dove toward a massive Zephyrian battleship that was trying to protect an orbital factory. His small ship dodged between energy beams that could have destroyed a human cruiser. "Target their weapon ports," he called to his pilots. "Don't let them bring their main guns to bear." The fighters swarmed around the alien ship like angry insects. hitting weak spots in its armor with precision strikes. The Zephyrian vessel was powerful, but it couldn't target the small, fast human ships effectively. Captain Webb's mining ships attacked another group of alien vessels near the planet's largest city. The converted civilian ships were slow and clumsy, but they carried weapons powerful enough to crack asteroids. When those weapons hit Zephyrian hulls, the results were devastating. For New Geneva, Captain Webb shouted as his ship's main gun punched through an alien cruiser's shields, but the human fleet was taking damage too. Lieutenant Commander Morgan's reconnaissance ship was destroyed when it got too close to a Zephyrian heavy destroyer. 3 of Major Sullivan's fighters were shot down while attacking an enemy command ship. Captain Webb's flagship lost its main engine to alien fire. Supreme Admiral Vex Thole watched his perfect defensive formation fall apart as human ships struck from every direction. His forces were stronger individually, but they were scattered across the entire system, trying to protect too many targets. "Recall all ships to defend the planet," he ordered. "Let them have the outer facilities. We'll destroy them when they come to finish us." But Captain Rodriguez had no intention of attacking the planet directly. As the Zephyrian fleet pulled back to protect their home world, she opened a communication channel that reached every ship in both fleets. "Dr. Foster, is the quantum cascade generator ready?" she asked. 98% and climbing, Captain. 2 more minutes." Captain Rodriguez took a deep breath and activated her ship's main communicator. When she spoke, her voice was broadcast to every Zephyrian vessel in the system. "Supreme Admiral Vex Thole, this is Captain Rodriguez of the Earth Fleet. I have a message for you from Captain Jake Morrison of the USS Horizon." The alien commander's face appeared on every human ship's main screen. His expression showed confusion and growing fear as he realized the humans had some kind of plan he didn't understand. "What are you talking about, human?" "Captain Morrison died when we destroyed his ship. Captain Morrison wanted me to tell you something," Rodriguez said. "He wanted you to know that humanity doesn't surrender. We don't beg for mercy. And we never forget what you did to our people." Dr. Foster's voice came over the ship's communication system. "Quantum cascade generator at 100%. Ready to fire on your command, Captain." Captain Rodriguez looked at the tactical display showing hundreds of Zephyrian ships clustered around their home planet. The aliens had pulled their entire fleet into a tight defensive formation, exactly where the humans wanted them. "Supreme Admiral, you came to our space thinking we were weak. You destroyed our colonies thinking we would surrender. You harvested our people thinking we were just animals. Today you learn what humans really are." She turned to Dr. Foster. "Fire the quantum cascade generator." The weapon that Dr. Foster had spent 20 years developing unleashed a wave of energy that spread through the Zephyrian fleet like ripples on a pond. The exotic matter that powered every alien ship began to destabilize. One by one, the mighty Zephyrian warships went dark as their power systems failed. Supreme Admiral Vex Thule watched in horror as his entire fleet became helpless metal shells floating in space. The humans had done something impossible. They had turned the Zephyrians' own technology against them. "Supreme Admiral," his tactical officer said, his voice shaking. "All ships report total power failure. Weapons offline, shields down. We're defenseless." The alien commander, who had never lost a battle, stared at the human fleet, which was now moving to surround his helpless vessels. In less than an hour, the mighty Zephyrian Empire had been brought to its knees by a species they had considered primitive. Captain Rodriguez opened a communication channel to the alien flagship. "Supreme Admiral Vex Thole, your fleet is disabled and your planet is surrounded. I'm giving you the same choice you gave us. Surrender now, or watch as we destroy every ship in your fleet." The proud alien commander who had demanded humanity's surrender just days before now found himself begging for mercy. "Captain Rodriguez, please, we can negotiate. We can offer you technology, resources, anything you want.